All right. It is Tuesday, right? Tuesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And you know what time it is? Time for the Real Money Coach Show. Listen, it is money time. I love it. Love it. And listen, we don't even have to prompt. We ever let everybody know. Tell us where you're watching from. Alice Martin has jumped us to the gun. So Alice Martin is in the house from Charlotte, North Carolina. Listen, we got Mr. David. Awesome. Good that you're here. Tell us where you're watching from. We got people that watch from all over the nation, all over the world. They come to get a little dose of the Real Money Coach on Tuesdays, and we are thrilled about it. We're thrilled to have you here to be a part of this experience we call the Real Money Coach Show, right? So we're excited tonight because we got, listen, Nigeria. You know, I said worldwide. Look at there. Nigeria is in the house, the motherland. Olivia Robinson, thank you for being here from Cary, North Carolina, right up the road from us. We got an A&T grad in the house tonight. Matter of fact, we got two A&T grads in the house tonight, Olivia. Kimberly, thank you for being here. Kimberly McGuinn from Charlotte, North Carolina. I just wonder if there's anybody out there that maybe an Aggie, right? We might have some Aggies that was watching tonight. Matter of fact, if you're watching tonight, if you're logged in, including my co-host, which we'll bring him on the stage in a minute, as well as our guest, Dr. Casey Kimbrough, good to have you here tonight. If you just reshare this, share this post, share this broadcast. If you're on Facebook, share it so that more people can be in and watching and get a dose of these young people tonight. I'm excited about it. We've been talking about this for a minute. We've been talking about it for a little while because we know that my normal co-host, which is Michelle Mitchell, was going to be off for June. And we polled the audience, right? We polled the listeners. We asked you who should be my co-host for the month of June. And you all said, bring baby boy on, right? You said, bring Tony on, bring your son on, let him co-host with you for a month. Bring some young people in. Let's have some conversations about technology, about money, about millennials. Let's talk about it all, right? There's nothing off limits, right? So long as it's clean and sanctified, all that good stuff, we're good, right? So we're going to talk about whatever's on their mind, and then we're going to be educated too. I can promise you that we're going to be educated by the young people tonight. So again, let us know where you're watching from. I do have a little announcement that I need to make. Let's see, a couple things really. As you guys know, every Thursday night, I'm on a broadcast called the Generational Wealth Alliance with Dr. George Frazier and a group of people there. So we're excited about that. And then speaking of Dr. George Frazier, we will be, and I say we because I know some of the people who are listening and watching will also be there, like Dr. Casey Kimbrough, but we will be at the PNC conference in Houston, Texas, the first week in August. So we're looking forward to being live once again in PNC. Thank you, A.G. Jones from Cincinnati. Thank you for being here tonight. And the other thing, y'all, I'm telling y'all something right now. I'm coming to Mississippi, right? So I'm looking forward to being in Mississippi the last week of June. We are going to be doing, Dr. Benita Harris, thank you for being here. Good to have a meeting and conversation with you this week. Ruth Bell, thank you for being in the house tonight. So listen, I'm excited I'm going to Mississippi. The Real Money Coach is going to be in Mississippi. We're going to be doing two separate 2-day financial education workshops, camps. It's a summer camp with children. We're going to be doing one in Macon, Mississippi, and we're going to be doing one in West Point, Mississippi. And I probably will do, let's call it a pop-up book launch book signing in Jackson, Mississippi. So we haven't worked out all the details on that yet. But for those people who know someone in the Jackson, Mississippi area, or what have you, we're going to be there and we're going to have some fun. We're going to do some education and we're going to talk about the book, Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money. Matter of fact, if you're listening tonight and you do not have a copy of the book, I have some here in my office. And all you have to do is go to ipadyourmoney.com, order the book. And if you use iPad, IPAD, all caps, 100, iPad 100, I'll send the book to you absolutely free. Absolutely free. You don't even have to pay for shipping and handling. Totally on me. That's my gift to you. So if you have not received the book, make sure that you go to ipadyourmoney.com and you can order your book there at checkout. Use that sales code and we got you. And also while you're there, you can see a couple presentations. You can see a recap, a 30-minute recap of the book launch, which was epic. You know, Dr. George Fraser, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, Boyce Watkins, Casey Kimbrough. Oh man, just Megan and Reagan Lynch, Alistair Edwards, and Jerome Davis of Black Couples Getaway. Just a wonderful thing. So that recap is there. You get a 20-minute version of the iPad presentation, and you can also watch a 30-minute part of it. So that is all of my upfront commercials for tonight. But I do have this announcement to make. As many of you know, I guess it's been about 7-8 months ago, I was approached and started an iHeartRadio show. And that iHeartRadio show, Fridays at 8 p.m., Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's WDRB Media, and as many of you know, that's an internet radio station. Well, the announcement is I went into free agency, and I have actually accepted a spot on Radio 1. So Praise 100.9, which is a live radio station here in Charlotte. You can also stream it through your Alexa or on the internet. So I will be moving my financial show to Radio 1. So looking forward to just moving that over. We're going to be on Radio 1. I'm looking to meet Kathy Hughes, y'all. I want to meet Kathy Hughes. So ultimately, that's what we're going to do. But we're looking forward to it. And just being on 100.9. And let me just say this about it. Is that something that I've been wanting to do for a while? And so, you know, God will put you, favor, right? Favor. And I'm elated. So the show will actually air on Saturday mornings at 7:30 a.m. It will be a financial show. It will be a prelude to this show, actually. So the plan is a lot of the guests that we have here on Tuesday night will be our guest on that show, right? But it'll just be like a 7-minute interview, and then we'll get into the meat of it on Tuesday on Facebook. So the format of my show is not going to change a whole lot. We're going to be doing real money news, right? Real money news. That's our news segment. Everything financial. It always joke around. Somebody called me one time, texted me one time and said, "Man, I don't like your show because all you talk about is money." I said, "You do realize this show is called The Real Money Coach, right?" So, but we talk about more than money. But so we're going to have the real money. We're going to have the real money news. And then we're going to have our interview of our guests that will be on the show that following Tuesday. And then we'll have our real money moves where we're talking about financial education, some things that you can do. And now, so all of that is part of the show. But also, the other part of it is I will be doing a financial nugget. Let's call it a financial nugget. Every Wednesday on Melody Pratt's show on on Radio One. So Praise 100 on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. I will be doing a 60-second, financial nugget. So we're going to be doing that also with Radio One as part of our platform over there. So I'm excited about all that, and God continues to open doors and do amazing things. And I keep thinking about this, that eyes have not seen nor ears have heard. And so I'm pretty excited about everything. So listen, I've been rapping longer than I normally do, talking to you about this. I want to introduce to you guys. Many of you may have seen him at the book launch. Many of you may know him, but it's a young man, right? Young man. I call him TJ. All right, that's my son, Tony Jackson II. He's going to be co-hosting with me for the month of June. Let's bring him on stage. TJ.
What's going on? What's going on?
Hey, son, how you doing?
Shaking and moving and shaking.
That's what I'm talking about. Listen, I am elated. I'm so happy that you're going to be doing this for the next 4 weeks. We got just a solid contract for you in terms of compensation. So he's laughing because that ain't right. But listen, I am, just as a dad, I'm awfully proud of you, and not let me just say, not you. You're probably more like me in terms of doing stuff like this and all that. But I'm telling you, man, even your siblings, Adrian, Shakir, Christopher, all of y'all, man, I'm just, as a dad, I'm just super proud of all of my kids, my grandkids, and all that kind of stuff. So
we're proud of you too. Huh? We're proud of you too.
Yeah. All right. That's good. I'm glad. So TJ, tell the people what you're doing, man. And tell them a little bit about what you're doing this summer. Let's spend a few minutes doing that so that the Real Money Coach audience gets to know you a little bit, and then we're going to bring on our guests here in a few minutes. But tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, so it normally takes me about 10 minutes to introduce myself, so I'll give you the short version. I'll first give you my Howard introduction. I'm currently an MBA, MSW dual degree candidate at Howard University. Currently, I'm working at Procter & Gamble in global product supply, equality, and inclusion. So all things DEI, that's my space. Even drifting off into DEI within technology, algorithms, machine learning as well. So big advocate of social justice in unconventional approaches, right? And in environments where it's not normally welcome. So I'm always the fire starter, and I stick around to see it burn. You muted.
I think I was muted. You guys got me now? Okay. Procter & Gamble for the summer. And you are a graduate of what university? What was that place?
Of course. Did I miss that?
I think you missed it. I don't know that
I'm alumnus of the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. So I'm an Aggie first. I say Aggie by nature, Bison by the grace of God.
Hey, love it. Listen, and here's the thing that's really kind of tripped out for me is if you guys have read my book and you've read the little bit of the introduction in the book, I was talking about when I was in high school, where I wanted to go. My first choice was Howard, right? So that was my first choice. It wasn't God's first choice for me, but I wanted to go to Howard. And I don't think I ever really shared that with the kids. And I don't think I really shared it with Tony until after he actually got to Howard. But so Tony Jackson still made it on the campus, right? But it's just in this next generation. And so, we're kind of proud of that. Tony, you got something going on this summer. What else you got going?
Well, I'm getting married.
Listen,
getting married.
so Tony's getting married this summer.
My baby on here too. She here somewhere. Hey, baby.
I see Leah. I see Leah in the house. I see Leah up there. I see Leah. She's in the house. Love Aaliyah and love you guys together. And so, because you two are one of my favorite couples, for me to do the ceremony, I'm gonna be really cheap for you. I'm not gonna charge you my normal price to perform those nuptials, but I'm gonna give you a break, okay? So that's awesome. And Tony, one of the things I remember is that when you came on to our rig, which is the Roberts Innovation Group, and you shared some things about artificial intelligence, the biases in them, that type of thing. I thought that was real interesting.
Definitely. And so I think that artificial intelligence, machine learning, they are the multipliers, right? And so technology has a greater potential to do good and bad as one person or group of people, right? So it makes thousands and thousands of decisions in seconds. And so when there's bias within those systems, within those algorithms, within that artificial intelligence, it can literally damage entire communities. And especially in my research, I discovered that it's normally biased against minorities, specifically Black people. I've even seen artificial intelligence be biased against women. Amazon came out with a software that was biased against women, and they scrapped it after they found that out. But it's important, especially for Black folk. We need to get ahead of that, and we need to integrate into the technology space, right? And we need to be decision makers within that space so that we can save ourselves, right? You don't want other people making decisions about your community,
right? Well, and here's the thing. That your passion and it's just kind of leading into what we're going to have a conversation about tonight is the artificial intelligence, the machine learning. You mentioned that it's a multiplier, and then what I do in terms of Real Money Coach and that type of thing, I tell people whatever you are, money is going to make you more of it, right?
Right.
So if you are a saver and you get more money, you're going to save more. All right. But if you're a spender and you just spend money frivolously, you get more money, you're just going to spend more money. If you are a giver, then you'll give more. So money is a multiplier. So whatever you are, whatever character you have, whatever mindset that you happen to have, money is just a multiplier on top of that. And that's the same thing that I hear you saying about the artificial intelligence and the same thing about the machine learning. So just like with money, we need to change our mindset so that when we get more money, we can do more good things with it in terms of, saving, being on the front end of some of the things that we'll even talk about tonight, like NFTs and all those types of things and on the front end of this blockchain technology, which, by the way, I do need to announce that. And we'll make sure next week that we'll have more information about the blockchain camp that's coming. Naja Roberts is bringing a shop here to a camp here to North Carolina. It's going to be coming up Wednesday. And if Pastor K is still with us, if you would put that in the chat for us, Pastor K, that would be awesome, because I think it's a Wednesday, and I don't know the exact date, but it's going to be at North Camp here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's going to be a camp, we need to get our education up about that. And also, I wanted to mention, and I forgot to mention this earlier, is that there is a Black Wealth Summit that's going to take place from 11:30 to 2 o'clock on, I believe that's going to be on June 18th at the Gantt Museum. I'm doing something there, whether that's a it may be I may be doing a panel or talk or something, but it's the Black Wealth Summit that's going to take place at the Harvey Gantt Museum here in Charlotte. Thank you, Pastor K, for putting that in June 22nd. And we'll make sure that we get some information out about that as well, about the technology, the camp. It's going to be from 6 to 8 p.m. So love it. Thank you. We'll maybe have maybe we can have Patrick K even pop in here maybe next week or something, tell us a little bit about that. So as we get prepared for just getting increased learning. So listen, I think we've been rambling on long enough, man. We want to bring on our guests. So TJ, I'm going to actually give you the pleasure of introducing Nigel tonight, and then let's bring Nigel on and continue our conversation.
Absolutely. This is my guy Nigel Hammett. Man, I can say so much about this guy. We went to A&T together. I mean, great guy. He's done a lot in the crypto space, in the decentralized finance. Now he's in the Metaverse and doing a lot of stuff with technology. We linked up at A&T and we did a lot of speaking engagements together. And I remember the first speaking engagement in the auditorium at A&T, and Nigel had the folks, they were drawn in. So let's bring him on. I want him to tell a little bit of his story, and then we can get into the meat of things. But yeah, my man has a great story.
Nigel, welcome to the Money Coach Show.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate it, TJ.
Come on. Stand ovation for Nigel Hammett, all the way from Oakland, California. All right. Yes, thank you, man, for being here. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, to be here. So, before the night's over, I'm gonna have to ask you a little bit about those that team out there, that Golden State team. I know it's that's Golden State territory right there, right? So I know they're going crazy out there. Hey, listen, they better got that win the other night, or they didn't look so good in game one. But so, man, tell us a little bit about Nigel. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and give us a little bit of that story that TJ is talking about.
Let's get that struggle story, Nigel. I need that. Give me that good motivation for the week.
For sure. Well, I mean, just like Tony said, it's definitely a lot of things that I can mention. But I'll just kind of start off, just a quick background. Again, what's going on, everybody? Nigel Hammett. I'm originally born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. That's where I'm from. I spent my entire life in that area. And again, also graduated from North Carolina A&T with an industrial systems engineering degree. But really kind of what makes me different in a way is just my experiences in life. I come from a great family that's seen great highs and great lows. Somebody that's been around business, from my grandmother teaching me how to be a fence painter, sell snowballs, and just be a young hustler and an entrepreneur. To also seeing and being exposed to what it can look like, when maybe, our minds aren't all the way together, or being exposed to sometimes, this country, if you're on the wrong side of the law, it can be very discriminatory and predatory towards your family. So just being exposed to all of those things, the highs and the lows, from making money, doing different businesses and practicing speaking like I'm doing today, to also, being exposed to things such as, the court legal systems, whether it be housing discrimination, whether it be, family turmoil. So having all of those things jumbled up, not realizing it back then, but seeing now makes me a great individual in terms of being able to understand my own adversity and making it through my own life, but being able to continue to be a vessel for other people. And so today, what it's looking like now, I currently work for Google out here in the Bay Area, California. And I actually came off of a gap year. So I took an entire year to chase all of my passions. I got my passport, traveled around the country. And I also dove deeper into the topic we're going to talk about today, which is the metaverse, Web3, NFTs, all of those types of things I was able to dive deep into through the pandemic. And I got my foundation back in college. We had a crypto club. I've been investing since I can remember. And I'm always super passionate to speak about it because I see what it's done in my life and I know what it can do in others.
Wait a minute. This is what I got to go back to. I'm from Michigan, right? And I ain't never heard of nobody selling a snowball. You said, did you actually say sell a snowball?
Oh yeah. So in the B-more area, we call what do y'all call them? Ices. What do other people call them?
Like a snow cone. Like a snow cone. I'm like, listen, I'm from Michigan. If you could sell snowballs, listen, I ought to have been rich, right? So I'm like, snowball. And when I was coming through, you say about people, a person who was a really good salesperson, right? You could they could sell ice cube to an Eskimo, right? So when you talk about selling snowball, I'm like, well, hold on, wait a minute. Did he really say sell snowball? But I got you there. I got you. It's the snow cone. It's the snow cone.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome, man. So you were able to take a gap year, and you did some traveling. So tell us some of the interesting places you went during that gap year.
For sure. Number one on the list is definitely I went to Africa for nearly 2 months. I stayed in Rwanda, Central East Africa. A lot of times when people think about the motherland, some more popular countries, maybe, Egypt, Ghana. I got some people from Nigeria. But for me to, be in Rwanda, I kind of got adopted by a Rwandese family and they really took me in. But, for me, one of the first people in my family to have that experience. And it was really, really good. It's just same thing in America. You have certain neighborhoods, certain cities or whatever that gets a bad rep. That's not the case. I went to church, got my hair done. I mean, I lived a whole life there and still have friends. So to be able to go there, get those experiences from going to the safari to just actually getting the history, it was definitely pivotal for me. And I'm glad that I took advantage of that space and time that I had.
This might be a little off topic, but one of the reasons why Nigel and I clicked, especially when we were at A&T, is because we just grinded so hard. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm talking about we take a nap and then wake up and go get it. We're not getting full night of rest. We keep it going. And I remember the Amazon store. He was like, man, I was rocking at the Amazon warehouse. And I'm like, yeah, we was great. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, I remember, especially in that time period, we took a lot of pride in hard work. And of course, it's seasonal, right? And of course, there's still times that require us to lock in and to put an extraordinary amount of effort and time and dedication into a particular project. But can you talk about now kind of like that enlightenment of being in that phase where all you know is grind, all I know is, go get it, hustling all the time, to now saying, okay, I want to travel. I want to experience this. I want to have time to reflect. Versus when we were younger, we would just all go straight green light.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about when y'all was younger? Somebody help me out here. Somebody help me out with these young guys talking about when we was younger. Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying, right? Now, here's the reality. And I want to hear this story. I want to hear about it because here's the thing about it is hard work ain't never hurt anyone. And being on your grind, and when you work hard, you can play hard, right? And oftentimes, being on that grind until you get your breakthrough, until things happen. And life works like this. It's like I'm grinding, and then I might have some time where maybe I'm not grinding as hard, then I grind. And so we have these ebb and flows in life that we go through. But I really do want to hear a little bit about that, because one of the misconceptions, let me say this, one of the misconceptions that people always do is we start labeling people according to whatever age group they're in, right? Millennials, Generation Zers, baby boomers, whatever that label may be. And sometimes what we're really doing is really bias, right, TJ? That's a bias. And people sometimes say, well, millennials, they this or that, the other. And so yeah, so I love the fact that you guys are talking about just being on your grind. So go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna just be completely honest. TJ, Tony, the reason why I probably realized this honestly probably 6 months ago. But the core nature of where that came from for me, honestly, was a defense mechanism. It's so easy to just kind of just get wrapped up in working hard and trying to be successful. But the reality was I was running from a lot of the inner traumas that I had. You see, when I was in high school, my mom got cancer and was displaced. I mentioned it before, but it's one of those situations where just being exposed to a lot, and then not even from a childhood perspective. This is current. We talking everything from homeless shelters, psychiatric institutions, going to court, social services. So for me, school success, speaking and doing well was something that I always could rely on. And I came to a realization about 6 months ago that, well, you know what? That's because I didn't really want to deal with what I had to deal with at home. And so that was the biggest revelation for me, is that, you can chill, you can take a vacation, you can take a trip, but also you have to face the mirror and face, the hands that God gave you and make the best out of that situation. So that's really the biggest turning point, I would say. I don't know if y'all was expecting that, but
yeah, that's powerful.
That's good though. That's good, because as we mature, we realize that sometimes our actions and things that we're doing is really therapy. It's our way of self-medicating, putting ourselves through. And Tony, you're getting a master's in social work, so I'm not going to even try to have this conversation with you. I'll just let you take it. But the thing about it is we self-medicate. And then even in the financial world, we talk about retail therapy, right? So when I'm down, or whatever, I got to go out. I got to buy me.
Our age is strip club therapy. Our age, they go to strip club.
This is your son. Okay. But you go out and you spend money that you don't have, right, to make yourself feel good so that you can have the latest whatever that happens to be. And that's really just a form of retail therapy. And so such a great revelation from you, Nigel, saying that now that I look back on it, it was my coping mechanism to just work hard and continue to work hard. Mm-hmm. Now here's the thing about it. There's a whole lot of other habits that you could have developed that would have been very.
It wasn't a bad thing.
It wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's even better that you recognize what it was.
Right. It just wasn't always the healthiest thing long term. But
right,
like you said, the situation could have played out a million different worse ways. So I'm blessed and thank the man upstairs that that's the route that I chose for what that was. And you learn from it. I feel like we all have different things that we use, to get through our situation. So I'm glad that I chose something that was somewhat productive,
Yeah,
and I think that's part of the beauty in this metaverse and cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and just this whole decentralized world, is that it almost introduces us to a world in which we can really expand, but it doesn't necessarily require us to put in so much time and detail as previous generations. For example, I work in global product supply, and we have a lot of technicians. I'm responsible for 65,000 employees worldwide, globally. And a lot of them are technicians, and they're punching that clock, right? They're punching that clock, right? And so they don't necessarily have that time to reflect. They don't necessarily have that opportunity to really to do things like you did in travel. But I think now with this cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and just the economic opportunity that's available, it's not just putting us in a position to make money, but it's also putting us in a position to free up our time.
Lifestyle, right? Lifestyle.
Exactly.
And so that's so important, because people, there's oftentimes there's people have freedom, like they have all this time freedom, but they have no financial freedom. And then you have people that have financial freedom that have no time freedom. And it's just finding that mix. And one of the things that and I want us to get into this a little bit, is when it's not, when I see people that retire, people who are always talking about, I can't wait to retire, I can't wait to retire. Oftentimes it's because they're working a job, and it's not a passion that they're working in, but it's a job. It's a means to an end, and they work. And I was on a call with Dr. Frazier the other night, and he's like, retire? I'll never retire because I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. And here he is, 77 years old, still going strong. Probably got more energy than many of us. But when I see people like Dr. Roberts, I see people like Dr. Frazier, I see people like William Picard, and people who are, what we would say well beyond retirement age, but they're doing what they want to do. And that's really what it's about. Retirement, we describe it as this, is doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, and who you want to do it with, right? And that's ultimately where we want to go. So let's put a stick in that, and let's talk about this metaverse, right? Web3. So what I want to do is I want to ask you guys to give us your definition or explain what is the metaverse. When we hear that, and I know there's a lot of people that probably hear that term and they're not quite sure what it is, right?
Yeah.
So what is the metaverse? School us a little bit.
I'll let Nigel take that question, but I'll just say I'm currently on Web3 right now streaming. So I'm literally on Brave web browser, which is Web3. So it's much bigger than cryptocurrency. It's much bigger than Bitcoin. I mean, it's just so much. There's so much you can do with it, and there's so many different avenues. So I'll let Nigel hit on it, but I just wanted to show that as an example of, yes, I'm using a decentralized system right now that has nothing to do with Bitcoin, has nothing to do with Ethereum, has nothing to do with cryptocurrency.
For sure. Nah, it can get deep. So I'm gonna go do my best to keep everything high level. But a short definition of the metaverse technically is just simply a virtual reality space. It's an opportunity for individuals to interact with one another, and they're doing it through means of Web3 crypto-based technology. So let's rewind back. Again, we said the metaverse is a virtual reality setting in a place where people can interact. So what does that look like? You may have seen those big Oculus Quest glasses people wearing. That is a form of, the metaverse. People are playing games through there. They're hosting meetings, doing different activities. What else is considered metaverse? Think almost like a video game, right? Where you kind of get into the game and you're playing, but it's the concept that there's going to be a world, just like the internet, that we're going to be able to exist, build communities, profiles. So Web3, people always use these big terms, but I want you guys to know what it means. I like to think of it as an upgraded, or crypto-backed version of the internet. Just like you guys are watching me today, you might go on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. Those are platforms that you built on the internet. And so when it comes to Web3, it's the same exact concept, but it is now blockchain and crypto-based, which means everything is public. It is no longer controlled by the government. And there's a lot more room for creatives, AKA us, or AKA investors, creatives, influencers, to come into the space the same way, we were having the same conversation 20 years ago about the internet, but we're looking at it at a virtual reality standpoint and blockchain based.
Wow. It just dawned on me some things I mean, before long, and it's probably happening already. Now, I was thinking about Tony's getting married. Like, you could have a virtual reality megaverse wedding, and that you could actually have that take place in Paris or wherever you want it to by using the virtual reality.
Absolutely.
And so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to be able to go and experience different things, and it's very real. It feels very real.
Yep. That's
Definitely.
cool. It's
Yeah,
different.
you can own real estate. I mean, there are people that are making money off of real estate in the metaverse. They have NFTs hanging up in their houses in the metaverse, and sometimes it's for sale, and they make money off of the NFT, the artwork that's within their houses within the metaverse. So I mean, there's
So
so much.
I think we should stop right there, T, because when people hear when people hear NFT, they're like, okay, what is NFT? So
Non-fungible token, but I'll let Nigel
non-fungible
take that.
token, right? So
Yeah.
that's a non-fungible token. But talk to us a little bit about how does the mega or the NFT work? I mean, in terms of ownership and those type of things, the art, you hear a lot of it used. So just give a little breakdown of NFT.
For sure. I can just jump in pretty briefly. You guys already said it. For those that may have not heard or not familiar, it does stand for a non-fungible token. And the way I like to explain this as digital ownership or digital asset. We realize that a car, maybe a house, maybe stocks, these are things that we own. It's an asset, it's in our portfolio, whether we can see it or not. It's the same exact thing with an NFT. You're able to own, let's just use artwork as an example, digital asset. Now, a lot of people focus and stay on the artwork, but Tony also mentioned that there's real estate. All right. You could use collections, you could use thoughts, ideas, processes, systems. And so when it comes to this NFT, it's a very vague term. Again, for basics and layman's terms, it's a digital asset that you have the ability to own, and it's one of one. It's just like an email address. I created my email address, CEO@nigelscanvas.com. Nobody else, I don't care what happens, can get that same email address. Think about like a username profile. It's one of one. I create Nigel's Canvas for my Instagram. Nobody can recreate that username. So an NFT is one of one. You create something, all right, and nobody has the ability to do a mere copy at its base roots. You'll see NFTs, and they already have. I've worked on a few projects myself. In the music business, we all know that when it comes to artists and big time entertainers, they are not they get take advantage of from these big media companies in terms of their own contracts. There's going to be days that are here in the past and on their way in the future where the artist, entertainer, and influencer has full control over their contract. They don't need a label. They don't need an advance. They don't need anything because they can go ahead and put their content out into the blockchain, out into these platforms, and they can let the fans decide the price. So it's switching and a transfer of ownership is really what I want us to pay attention to within this NFT space. And the smart individuals are not people that know it all now, not the people that have 50,000 NFTs, are going to be the ones that are consciously thinking about how can they incorporate NFTs into their business, whether investment portfolio or just what is something that is going to change in the near future that is going to last for the next 15 to 20 years. Think about a Netflix versus a Blockbuster. Think about, what Instagram versus a MySpace. These transitions are happening, blockchain and Web3 right before our eyes.
So Nigel, as you were talking about that, I'm thinking about the NFTs, and one of the benefits is as an artist, I will maintain ownership of that EFT. So I will always have royalties. And you remember, back in the day, the big thing with artists, Ray Charles and some others, is that they wanted to own their own masters, right? And so what an NFT is that you're owning that digital asset master. And so every time that piece of artwork is sold, every time it changes hands, if I'm the creator of that, then I'm getting paid. So now we're talking about generational wealth, because for as long as I live, as long as someone in my family lives, they will continue to get royalties every time that piece of art, every time that asset is sold. And so that's huge. And in this space, we can start to level the playing field, because so often we talk about the racial wealth gap, we talk about different wealth gaps, gender wealth gaps, and all these type of things. If we can be on the front end of the type of things that you guys is second nature for you, some of us, we got to get over the hump, right? We got to get over the fear, we got to get over the unknown and be able to take the risk. And we may see it as a risk when was probably, it's not really a risk, but it's the tide. It's where things are moving. And if we can be on the front end of that, we can change generations.
Absolutely. Definitely. And it feels like a risk, but then once you get into it, you realize that it's probably more safe than what you've actually been using over the years. And you're right with the royalties and being able to collect that over time is very powerful tool, especially for creatives. And like, for example, is that an Ernie Barnes picture behind you?
It's Ernie Barnes.
It's Ernie Barnes. Right. So Ernie Barnes, I mean, great Black artist. Right now, imagine if every Ernie Barnes painting was he got a piece of that pie.
Right. Because see, once he sold it, because it's a physical copy, it doesn't have the asset, the digital asset that goes with it. It might be a limited number, right? And so if it's a limited number, but still, once it's sold, there's no more royalties going back to Ernie Barnes and his family. Exactly. So listen, we had a couple questions that popped up into the chat. Let's deal with those. So here's Byron. He says, instead of selling songs or tracks as a core product, sell an NFT of a track. So
yeah. So, and I love this question. And I'll share that I actually was working on a project with Tiny Harris, T.I.'s wife, and it's crazy because she literally asked me the same exact question. So a song is a song, all right, and an NFT is whatever you want it to be. So it's similar to how we were explaining the masters. All right, a song, you're just listening to it. All right, it's audio. But at the end of the day, somebody owns the right to the beat. All right, and somebody also owns right to the masters, the publication of the song. So we use a phrase called smart contracts. You write a smart contract, it's like a regular contract, but it lives on the blockchain of the masters, production, beat, etc. All right, so you can do whatever you want with the song. It's like an image. All right, let's think about Picasso for a second. All right, I created a Da Vinci painting. It's worth $1 million. At the end of the day, I can't stop you, all right, from taking a picture of it. I can't stop you from copying and pasting. But deep down, everybody knows that I'm the owner. I'm the painter. It's the same exact way with NFTs, and that's where people get it weird and mixed up. They're like, well, why would I buy, $2,000 on this NFT when I can just copy and paste it? Because it's about ownership. Same thing with the song. And every time somebody streams the song, or the thing is, these streaming platforms, again, they represent the man. They represent a label. They represent a corporation. Why do I need Spotify, YouTube, that's going to pay me 3 cents every 1,000 songs when I can just have a basic media player, all right, and sell the ownership of my songs? Think about a vinyl and a CD. I can go on YouTube and listen to Marvin Gaye for free, or I can go to my record store and buy a one-of-one vinyl that I own. So think about like a vinyl that's an actual physical thing, but it just lives digitally. It's the best way I can explain it.
So that old 45, y'all been spinning them records on that old 45 turntable, right?
Exactly.
So the NFT is...
I collect records too. And so I really didn't know at first, but they are one of one. Every record label, just like a phone, has a serial number which somebody can own.
Absolutely. So let's jump into this next question. Here we go. So for Youth Live, it says, where do you start if you want to get in on the metaverse? What are the first steps? And I love that, because if somebody didn't ask this question, I was going to ask it. So go ahead and break that down.
Honestly, I think the easiest thing to do, number one would be look on YouTube. And see how other people are having their experience. There's a lot of ways to go about it. One of the more common answers would be to buy one of the Oculus Quests if you want your own physical experience. But to be honest, we've all already taken place in the metaverse, whether we've used filters on our phone, whether we've done, certain applications. So we are already technically right there. But if it were me to fully enter the metaverse, I would buy Oculus Quest. There's some other sites that you may want to look into, like Horizon, as well as Sandbox as well. You see a lot of people buying real estate on those applications. It sounds weird. It sounds goofy, childish. I get it, but it is the future and people are doing it. So Metaverse, the Quest, Horizon, all right, and Sandbox are my top 3 ways to get in. Of course, it's millions, but that's my 3.
And what we got to do is we got to get some others on here too, because a lot of those platforms people are become familiar with, Sandbox and those, you hear those terms. So I think one of the challenges we'll do here on the Real Money Coach Show is we'll bring you some of those things so that we can learn more. We can get involved and indulge ourselves and just kind of sink in it and start to learn so that we become comfortable with the terminology, that we become comfortable with the technology. So let's do this. So we've been at the high 30,000 foot level, right? So for the techie, right, that's watching, what words do you have for him to that? What would you say to the person who's really into the technology and they want to walk away from this broadcast and say, man, that nugget right there that I got at 8:53 p.m. of the show was worth the hour that I sat through? What would that be? I know.
Yeah. So for the techies, want to go ahead and just start off with yield staking investments.
Let me go ahead and pull my pen out.
So that's the first term that you want to be familiar with. So everybody knows about cryptocurrency. We've talked about NFTs. I want to talk about yield staking investment. It's the concept of you buying and holding cryptocurrency and them paying you anywhere from 5 to at times 40% year over year returns simply by holding / parking that crypto. Now, this is obviously lucrative because we know what the bank gives us. All right. This is the money conversation. We know that the banks are giving us 0.01 to at best maybe 0.005 on most of our interest rates. All right. So that's the first thing you want to look at. My individuals that are also a little bit more tech savvy, I want you guys to also focus on building your own portfolio. All right. You need to have had at least some type of experience purchasing crypto and using it, even if it's just $1, $2, $5. That's going to put you in the 60th percentile of everybody else that hasn't even used it. All right. Thirdly, I want you to start looking up. I'm not asking you to code, but I want you to start looking up and getting familiar with smart contracts. You guys can quote this, and we're going to look back at this show 3 to 5 years from now, but there will be smart contracts on deeds to houses. There will be smart contracts on contracts to Rolex watches. And, instead of receipts, it's going to be smart contracts on a Rolex watch. It's going to be smart contracts on a Mercedes Benz. It's going to be smart contracts on when I talk to my neighbor Joe and I agree that he's going to give me $2,000, borrowing money. So smart contracts, yield staking, all right, and building a portfolio are my top 3.
Well, and here's the thing about the smart contracts, right? It's if we're still talking about IP, intellectual property, I mean, we're like, still in the starting blocks and everybody else is, crossing the finish line. We got to get into the smart contracts. And I think what you just gave us really is a great, a great agenda, right? So we got someone come on the show, talk about smart contracts, have an attorney come on that can really talk about smart contracts. I love that. Yield staking investments, right? So there we got yield staking investments and then build your own portfolio. So those are 3 things that if you're already in the space.
You got a fourth. Oh, he got a fourth. Hold on, he got a fourth.
You got a fourth one. Come on.
I got the last thing. It includes a summary of all of those. And again, I know there's different types of ages, demographics on the call, but I will also encourage you to look into Web3, cryptocurrency, blockchain careers. Hear me out. From 2010 to 2020, the job of the decade was big tech. All right. From every critic, they're going to list, the Amazons, Apples, Googles, whatever, as, the high profile jobs to have. I believe from 2020 to 2030, those high profile careers, jobs are going to revolve in the blockchain space. So take your time and find a niche, something that not only you could use for your own business or your own skill set, but you want to go ahead and start building that skill set out as a potential career or something that you can encourage the younger folks in your family to start learning now, as it will be one of the most highest paid and prevalent career that you can have within this decade and the following to come.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And I can't believe, we're approaching 9 o'clock and there's so much more that we could be talking about, right? Because, I got your bio and saw all the great things that you're doing with Google, your desire, your passion to have, because everything that you just said, there's still ministry, there's still people in need. And I know one of your goals is to open and support a homeless shelter back in your hometown of Baltimore. And, as we look at all these things, there's still that human need, right? There's still the human need to have the basics of life, food, shelter, clothing, medical, all these types of things too. So, and I look at it this way. I look at it scriptorial, right? So, a lot of people said, the Old Testament, the law, and the New Testament. And I can remember Jesus said, I didn't come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. And I think as we talk about this technology, we're evolving. It's not that what isn't good. That's how we grew up. Y'all don't know nothing about a Princess phone, right? Y'all don't know anything about these types of things that we had. And that was the technology of the day. And, if we don't stay as a people, if we don't stay on top of it, we again will be behind everybody else. Yeah. And so I'm so glad to have young brothers like you and others that are around, that are involved in this and helping to bring the rest of us along. So listen, I like I said, man, I can't believe it's 9 o'clock already. Let's do a round robin and do this for me. Everybody who's listening, if you're still here, and we see a lot of you still are, tell us what you thought of tonight. Put it in the chat box. Give us a word or two of what you thought of this young man, Nigel Hammett, and this dude, TJ, right? So listen, hey, I love what you said, Miss Renee. 3 young men, you got that right. 3 young men got the nuggets. You got that right. So, Miss Renee, I appreciate you. Right? So just put in the chat. Did you learn anything tonight? Was it rewarding? Was it and for me, I think it's just having the conversation. We can't have the conversation of it's just like money. If we don't talk about it, if we don't deal with it, then that time will go by. So we have to keep talking about this technology. And they said that repetition is the mother of all skill, right? So listen, we got mesmerizing. We got Philip said the beginning of something big. Great conversation, guys. Byron said, I joined late, but still come better off than I entered. Love it. Dr. Benita Harris said, excellent conversation with great men sharing their knowledge. Very inspiring. Thanks, gents. So listen, it's been another great episode of the Real Money Coach Show. So we asked the audience to give their last word. I'm gonna ask Nigel, give us one word that you want to depart with. Just drop one nugget on us. TJ, you're gonna do the same, and I'll close this on out.
Yeah, I would just say growth. Be open to the new changes and don't be left behind.
Growth. What about you, T?
I would say stewardship. Appreciate, take care of, and fall in love with where you are so you can get where you're going.
Love it. Now your mama said the best and the brightest. Look at that. Look at that. That's mama talking about her boy. All right. Hey, listen, I've been doing this show for 2 years. And you gonna come out and get the best and the brightest. Hey.
You the
But
brightest
listen,
today.
hey, you got a wonderful mother. She's so supportive of everything I do and everything that our family does. You can't put that in Megaverse, right? You can't put that in Megaverse what a mother does for her family and the support. For me, man, I think the word that I have is just encouraged. Right? I'm encouraged by what I see. I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing, and so that's what I walk away with. I walk with away with the word encouraged. So listen, it has been the Real Money Coach Show here on Facebook Live and YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Dante, take us on home, man.